Right, Rohit, our top story this morning is from the United States of America. Now, former U.S. President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to dozens of criminal counts for mishandling some of the U.S. government's most sensitive documents.
Yes, so that's the big case that the world is watching. Trump's petition, his plea entered before U.S. Magistrate Judge Jonathan Goodman, sets up a legal battle likely to play out over the coming months. He is campaigning to win back the presidency in the November 2024 election. Trump, wearing a blue suit and a red tie, frowned and leaned back in his chair, but did not speak during the 47-minute hearing.
Throughout the hearing, Trump sat with his arms crossed in front of him or leaned on the table in front of him. He scowled. He looked like he didn't want to be there. He would occasionally whisper to his attorneys who were seated to the left and right of him. He didn't say a word throughout the hearing. His lawyers did all the talking for him. His lawyer was the one who entered the not guilty plea on his behalf, telling the judge, "We most certainly enter a plea of not guilty."
Trump was allowed to leave the court without conditions or travel restrictions, and no cash bond was required as well. Goodman ruled the former president was not allowed to communicate with potential witness in the case as well.
Trump's aide Walt Nauta, who is also charged in the case, appeared in court alongside Donald Trump, but will not have to enter a plea until the 27th of June. Nauta has worked for Trump at the White House and Mar-a-Lago. He too was released without having to post bond and was ordered not to talk to other witnesses.
It was the second courtroom visit for Trump in recent months. In April, he pleaded not guilty to state charges in New York stemming from a hush money payment to a porn star. Trump is the first former president to be charged with federal crimes.
Trump has repeatedly proclaimed his innocence and accuses Joe Biden's administration of targeting him. During a stop at Versailles, a Cuban restaurant, after the hearing, Trump told his supporters that U.S. was rigged, corrupt, and in decline. Florida's Cuban-American community is a substantial Republican voting bloc in the politically competitive state. He then flew back on his private jet to his New Jersey golf club, where he addressed his supporters.
I had every right to have these documents. The president enjoys unconstrained authority to make decisions regarding the disposal of documents. That's unconstrained to make that decision. Joe Biden had troves of classified documents from his time as vice president and even as a senator, which was completely and totally illegal. In fact, other senators heard about it.
Special counsel Jack Smith, who is handling the case, accuses Trump of risking national secrets by taking thousands of sensitive papers with him when he left the White House. The photos included in an indictment released last week showed boxes of documents stored on a ballroom stage, in a bathroom, and strewn across a storage room floor. The indictment said that the records included information about the secretive U.S. nuclear program and the potential vulnerabilities in the event of an attack. The 37-count indictment alleges Trump lied to the officials who tried to get them back.
It also alleges Trump conspired with Nauta to keep classified documents and hide them from investigators. Now, Trump's legal woes have not hurt his standing with Republican voters. A recent Reuters Ipsos poll showed that Trump still led rivals for the Republican nomination, and 81% of Republican voters view the charges as motivated. Most of Trump's Republican presidential rivals have lined up behind him and accused the FBI of political bias. It marks a sharp turn from the party's traditional support for law enforcement.
Vivek Ramaswamy, one of the presidential candidates, said outside the Miami courthouse that he would pardon Trump if elected. Trump faces charges that include violations of the Espionage Act, which criminalizes unauthorized possession of defense information and conspiracy to obstruct justice. He would serve a maximum of 20 years in prison if convicted.
Now, experts say that the complexities of handling classified evidence and legal maneuvering by Trump's lawyers could delay a trial by more than a year. His defense team is in flux after 2 lawyers quit the case on Friday. In the meantime, Trump is free to campaign for the presidency and could take office even if he were to be found guilty.
Right, and earlier we spoke to our correspondent Susan Tehrani on what happens next now that the former US president has pleaded not guilty. Take a listen.
Following Donald Trump's plea, attorneys have the opportunity to review the indictment charges and make motions regarding the case, including seeking to have charges dismissed. It's not clear when this case will go to trial. However, experts say that the judges in the Southern District of Florida adhere to a very strict timeline when it comes to their cases. However, this is anything but an ordinary case. Usually a sentencing or conviction takes about 70 days from the first hearing. We'll have to wait and see when the judges will decide to take this case to trial. Remember, if the trial goes after the 2024 presidential elections, and should Donald Trump win those elections, he can pardon himself. Perhaps if another Republican ends up in the White House, they can also pardon Donald Trump as any other president can at that time. So special counsel Jack Smith may not even see a jury at the end of the day. We'll have to wait and see, however.
We also asked Susan Tehrani if Trump's legal battles and trials will clash with his campaign schedule. Here's Susan again.
Well, as the Republican frontrunner, Donald Trump has maintained that he will continue campaigning amidst his legal problems, indictments, and court cases. In fact, he has even boasted about his legal problems at campaign rallies. He's made campaign videos regarding this latest federal indictment in Miami, and he's even raised campaign funds. The timetable, however, for this federal investigation may coincide with key GOP events. As of now, the GOP is scheduled to have its first presidential debate on August 23rd. Donald Trump has not confirmed if he will take part yet or not, but he's also under investigation in Georgia for election interference during the 2020 elections. It's not yet clear whether or not charges will come against him regarding that case. However, we do know that his case here in Manhattan, which was not a federal case, begins in March of 2024 in the heat of the presidential primaries.